Welcome back to On Right Podcast. Here you have Elijah alongside Grant, and today we have a special guest. I'm gonna allow him to go ahead and introduce himself here. Just gonna be a heavy Pistons topic here. You see him rocking the Pistons jersey, so wrapping up summer league. Heading into kind of a downside for the NBA, but an exciting time for us nonetheless. So I'm gonna kind of kick it off to the guest here, and just kind of go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you boys for having me. Name's Niko. Uh, you know, kind of just tapped in, with the Unbreak podcast. Love what y'all is doing on YouTube. And yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah. No, man, we appreciate you coming on as well. Today's topic will just really be around Pistons, summer league. Sometimes people be like, shouldn't be too excited about what you see in summer league. Because the summer league, might have some DoorDash drivers out there, some janitors out there here and there. But I feel like when you at the stage that our team, the Pistons, are at, there's definitely some things you can take, like some positives and some things that, some really good things that happened in this past summer league to build on, especially with the team being so young. Half our roster was in the summer league. So, but Niko, yeah, I'll kick it to you to kind of start off first, man. So, got a guy, Jaden Ivey, had a good little start before she got injured, but looks like that looks good. But him, Duran, what are your takeaways just from the two rookies that we drafted recently?
Let me start with Jaden. First of all, I would like to say that he's super on brand. Very character guy. Seemed to be a good leader out there for the guys on the summer league roster. His athleticism just kind of jumps off the screen. Like I was watching a lot of highlight film of him. A lot of YouTube clips, but it don't do it no justice when you watch it live. So that was beautiful to see. You like you said, it's just summer league. You don't want to see guys, do too much, but you do want to see them look better than the rest. And then for Duran, a guy you can plug in right now, just gonna be a rim protector, vertical, spacer with his lob threat ability. So I saw a lot of what I like, seeing in him. Saw a lot of sorry, I'm getting a little mixed up with my words, but
Yeah.
I like what I saw from both of the rooks we just brought in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think it's especially just from like Ivy. I mean, he's come out of Big Ten country and watched him play quite a bit the last couple of years. But I'm like you, I was surprised. Like he stuck out very much. So, um, you know, I think that first game he had 26-6. Um, it can either go either way with these draft picks, right? They can kind of come out and struggle a little bit. You saw some of the first rounders struggle a little bit here and there. Maybe need to get a game under, game under their belt, get their feet wet a little bit more. But I mean, he did that game one, game two. He had like 11 in like 5 minutes. I thought he was ready to drop 40 until my man's came up under him on that three. He was definitely looking to put on a show. So unfortunately, I had to shut him down. But yeah, even like Duran, man, like I think I'm just really excited about him too, just because like just that the athleticism. He came out of from Memphis, goes coached by Penny Hardaway, Larry Brown. Larry Brown, as everybody knows, brought us our last championship in Detroit. So he just already kind of knows, understands what it takes to be a pro. So I just think we did good with that. We just did good overall when it comes to this draft.
Yeah, no, and I guess I'm just going to kind of second what Niko said as far as when you watch Jaden Ivey, just how much he jumps off the screen. And when you watch a player in college that's that explosive, it sometimes can be a slightly misleading or it might not translate that way to the NBA. But you could see, even if it is just a summer league, I've said this before, but it looks like he was playing at like 1.5 speed and everybody else is playing at regular. And so that's going to translate very well at the start of the season and for the next, foreseeable future. So, I seen everything I wanted to from him, and he's like you said, very on brand. I've heard him mention in practically every interview that I've seen him in that he wants to bring defense to the table. That's just not a thing that most rookies talk about, especially not top 5, top 10 picks. So everything with that is great to hear, and it was amazing to see just how explosive he was. So I'm very excited to see that and Cade and Bay and all that kind of wrapped up into one. and the same with Duran. Kind of we probably got the two steals of the draft, really, but another steal, a big X factor, a guy that could be one of probably the best center in this draft. That's his ceiling, and we got him with the 13th pick. And so I just like what I see with him as well, and I think overall, I'm seeing the picture that we're beginning to paint, and if some of these players work out like I think, I mean, it's going to be beautiful to see.
Yeah.
I would like to add actually one small little detail as well to both Ivy and Duran. I noticed that they're both, they shot the ball pretty well from the free throw line. I don't think I've seen that talked about enough. Obviously, like we said, it is summer league, but that's a skill that can translate that confidence at the free throw line. So, they continue to knock those down. That definitely looks good for us.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now I would just say overall, man, just with both of them, like, I've been obviously doing quite a bit of research on them and just, trying to just understand more about them. And as soon as I found out that Ivy's like granddaddy played for the Lions, his daddy played for, I think he played for the 49ers. Mom played for the Detroit Shock. Coach with Memphis. Just the like athletic, like the gene pool he's coming out of, on top of like just like how he's come up and just was able to work with John Morant, real close. His mom was coaching with them, and it just felt like destiny. Like as soon as I kind of understood, more like his background and such, I was like, okay, like this would definitely be a fit. I think something important about Detroit too is like, we're not, one of them like major cities like Miami, LA, whatever. So like we kind of need guys that like want to be here. Like we need guys that are excited to be here. So as soon as I just kind of, started even reading too, when, he was saying like he'd be cool going to Sacramento, but didn't love it, like wouldn't work out for him. It only worked out for Orlando and Dust. I mean, you can't beat that. Even that kind of reminded me last year with Cade. Like he was just so excited, just be picked by Detroit, show up with the pull the buffs out, threw those on, like just understood. Just the culture already. It seems like, and I just think that's something also that like we can kind of hang our hat on, knowing we got guys that want to be in that building and are looking to build something too.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I just look at the roster as a whole, kind of what we're putting together here. You're hearing obviously Cade, his offseason has been, starting with getting snubbed for the rookie of the year, then a slam cover, and then we get one of the more explosive players in the draft. So it's kind of been an interesting summer for him as well. I'm very excited to see him come around for his second year. I think it'll be Bay's third year. You're hearing that, you sent me the article about him going off and,
Colorado.
Colorado, and, just locked in. Yeah. So I think, it's going to be interesting to see. And I've heard rumors of him, potentially stepping up to another level. And he had a 50-point game last year, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. That's safe to say that he could come out, and that's what he's shooting for this year. So with all this cooking, it's an exciting time to be a Pistons fan. And, that next couple of the development of what we have this season could be, pretty pivotal. We kind of joked right before we hopped on about, them getting a lottery pick and who they could next league get. But, I ultimately think that would kind of really be a disappointment. I think with this type of roster, you could potentially slide to the playoffs or definitely a play in. So I think those are kind of what I'm looking for if all those players take the next step. I'm not sure what your guys' feelings on that would be, but that's kind of what my expectations would be, is hovering around that play in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so. I want to go to your first point, just kind of talking more about Cade. I just want to kind of get your thoughts, Niko. We talk about Cade and what we think we need to see from him next year, and what that next step looks like. Because he kind of came in averaging like 18, 5-5, was averaging like 26-6, like after the All-Star break. For a little bit of period of time there. They said the only person able to do that was like I think like LeBron and Jordan, something along those lines. So I mean, what are you expecting from him? Like, what do you think like is going to be his next step for next season?
It's honestly tough to say just because the team's so young. So we're gonna see how they want to bring in Ivy and who they want to set next to those two in the starting lineups and the rotation. So that's one thing I want to really pay attention to to start the season. But from Cade, I believe, he could be an easy 22 to 24, points per game guy. Give you another 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Um, but I think the biggest quality you'll see out of him this year is probably his leadership.
Yeah.
I think you've got a lot of guys who just want to win, and it starts with Cade. So you might see games where he'll defer to Sadiq or to Ivy or to anybody else, but you'll see, some games where he'll be like, okay, I got to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's gonna obviously mix up his numbers a little bit, but I think overall you can see, a guy that you can give you 25, 5 and 5. So,
Yep.
that's my expectations of Cade going into this season.
I agree with that. Yeah, I know me and Eli kind of talk about like a comparison for him, and that's kind of easy for trying to figure out who people kind of remind you of and such when it comes to their game. I see like a lot of decent amount like Luka in him, just really able to do everything very well. So I'm just it'd be interesting to see, if he does touch that, 20 to 25 point per game, or if he maybe closer to like 8 or 9 assists, close, maybe more rebounding side of things. So yeah, we'll just have to see what kind of comes from that. And I know Eli, you'd also kind of talk about too, just the team as a whole, kind of starting to build this thing up and seeing about, what kind of run we could potentially make next year. Wanted to kind of dive in just more of the roster as a whole. We got some guys on there that need to kind of prove themselves. Killian Hayes, I'm still, I feel like I haven't given up on him quite yet. Just because I think would you say Eli's younger than Ivy, right?
He's basically like the same age as I. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
third
he's a young
year,
guy.
no summer league, only played like 20 games his first year. He's definitely been struggling on the shooting side of things. I think it's just a confidence thing, really, working on the jump shot too. But that's one guy. I mean, I even say like I hate to say it, Stewart. I feel like just with how loaded that with Bagley and Duran, Olenek, it's gonna be a fight for some minutes. I know he's trying to kind of change his game up. So we'll see what happens with that. But out of those two guys, or anybody else you can think of, kind of need, kind of like in that prove it year, like what do you kind of expect to see from them, or want to see from them?
Proving wise, I think you hit the nail on the head with Killian. I'm another guy who is, not giving up on him yet,
Yeah.
just simply because playmaking and defense will always be, crucial in today's game and forever. Honestly, he can do both of those things pretty exceptionally well. So, but next to Killian, I'd say next guy would probably have to be a Stewart.
Don't get me wrong, I like his game. It's just like there's just guys that are more skilled. I mean, he's a great defender, you know what I'm saying? But, somebody going to be on the outside looking in some capacity. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No, you're all good. Yeah, Stewart, just because, he's got to prove he can shoot in the league, to get his minutes. Like you said, he is undersized, so it's going to be tough to see a lot of center minutes. So you're just going to have to prove that you can space the floor a little bit. We already know what he can bring, athletically and defensively, and, he's definitely a motor guy. But to get out like you said, to get out in that front court and play minutes, you're gonna have to shoot the ball a little bit.
Yep.
Those probably be my top two guys, though.
Yeah, what you think, Eli? Or is there any?
I mean, 100%. I do think it's time for Killian to kind of I don't want to say a prove year for somebody that young because he definitely has a spot in the league. It's just one of those things where it might not work out due to how high you're drafted and your salary and us getting another point guard, shooting guard this year and the last 2 years, really. And so I think it's kind of him just kind of not having a place in the whole equation. But I do think he could potentially really step up. I just think it's I'm rooting for it. I just don't know if it'll happen. I'll be honest. I'm a little on the glass half empty type of deal on that one. But with that being said, I don't really know. I hear what you're saying about Stewart as far as him also kind of getting lost in the sauce and not really having a real role potentially, especially playing how good Duran is. If if Duran starts soaking up a lot of those minutes, I mean, I don't know, he's going to be forced to really, like you said, learn to shoot, spread the floor. Otherwise, he's just not going to have a role out there because Bagley, we just gave a big bag, and when he was really hit, I've joked multiple times about this, but I've seen more Bagley highlights since he's been on the Pistons than I had in 3 or 4 years at the Kings. So I think he's really found a revival, and him and Cade played well together. So I do kind of think Stewart is in that weird spot as well. So I think I hate to agree on both halves, but I think Stewart's kind of you know. Even if he just is an all-star defensively, or unless Duran kind of doesn't come on like we think he will, I think he'll probably be on the chopping block as well.
Yeah, because I think there's a real conversation as to even who's even going to start. I mean, you can guarantee that Ivy start right next to Cade. That just makes sense. But I mean, I forgot about Nerlens Noel. I don't know what kind of role they have in mind for him. If he's gonna, hopefully it's just kind of like, hey, you know, glad to have you here. On the flip side, we got all these young cats over here. Like, I hope he's cool just kind of being a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to kind of, come in, play some key minutes here and there.
It's crazy that probably only like 26.
That's what's nuts about it. Because I mean, he got drafted like 2013, 20.
Yeah, he's probably a little older than that, but he ain't very old at all. It's just kind of funny that.
Yeah, like it's I mean he a vet. He ain't even close to 30 yet. So that's what kind of makes it kind of nuts to think about. And then Killian, he's in a weird spot. Like you never heard of a 6 man that just comes in and passes. You know what I'm saying? Like usually, and I don't know if he'll Alec Burks could be the 6 man. Maybe they can kind of come in, same time, kind of run that second group. But it's tough.
I forgot we had Burks.
Yeah, so I think I kind of like. I've seen Burks. He was in New York doing his thing. I've always been a fan of him. Never understood why he jumped around so much. It's like he was just like a solid player, but I guess the NBA's kind of looked at him as like a nice little throw-in trade piece. He's played for quite a few teams, but I think he'll be a nice little shot in the arm off the bench. But we'll see. And so I think I do think Killian's gonna take a huge step. I don't see Isaiah Stewart getting threes off I don't know. I just can't see. I see he's doing it, in summer league, kind of like hunting the shots. That's a different ball game, obviously, being summer league. But I just got to see. I want to see come on the post game, see what that kind of looks like here and there. I know we've seen him catch lobs and stuff, but I always him being more of like a defense first kind of guy, could potentially have him on the outside looking in. So
he'll begin to run into this where like if we are competitive, and then we don't have time for you to develop on court. We don't have time for we can't really afford for you to be 0 for 5 on the game today because we would rather Jaden Ivey get these shots up or Cade get these shots up or Bay. And so if we're competitive, then we don't have time for you to develop in season, in game at least. So that's going to work against him versus the last couple of years where maybe you could, they'll see what you got more or less because we weren't winning money games. So
right. Because I'll say right now, I mean, he's probably like the 7th or 8th person I'd like to see shooting a 3 on that roster right now. Just being honest, and I like that he's been working on it, and they had the opportunity in training camp and, so preseason to, earn his keep. And I don't know, they may have he might be a starter, as far as they're concerned, just because this will be his 3rd year in the league. He was first team, all rookie team, played pretty well last year. We could be totally wrong. I'm just kind of looking at based off of who we brought in and what they can do compared to what he can do.
I mean, I do think there's a lot of I do think there's a lot of question marks in the front court. Like, it also goes back to winning and not winning. But do you want like a veteran Olynyk out there, or do you want Durham out there developing? Are you going to have Bagley or Stewart? I think there are big question marks in there. As well, so I do think that front court is a little more on the ice than the back court / one of the front guards.
Right. Yeah. So I think all in all, I mean, just for this rebuild is how it's went. And that's how this will kind of just be the next time I want to kind of jump into. And I'm obviously biased. I'm a Detroit fan, it's probably one of the best rebuilds I've seen so far. Obviously, we got a lot to go. Got a lot, by just how we were able to get up off Blake Griffin's contract. We just, we got up off of Jeremy Grant. That just needed to happen. Like this game, it just needed to happen. I just didn't think he had a fit going forward. And I love how we was just, we just was just taking everything from the Knicks. Like whatever they wanted to give us just to get little old Jalen Brunson. I'm just glad that we was there, just taking anything they wanted to give us. So yeah, Niko, I guess my other question for you now is how have you thought about the rebuild so far? I mean, I don't think I haven't really seen anything all that wrong with it. So this might not be the greatest question, but I just want to kind of see what your thoughts are and how you've seen it just about the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, you already kind of touched on it a little bit. We're able to like to see the transformation. I see memes all over Twitter and all that stuff. We went from Jordan Boone or whatever, Jordan Boone from, to Cade Cunningham and all these guys, just the transformation in the roster itself. And you can kind of see like the excitement coming around Detroit and even out of Detroit now, with Troy, with what he's been able to do and the moves he's been able to make. So yeah, man, it's just exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Eli? So I know we was having conversations. I couldn't even watch Pistons game for a little minute there. I mean, it was getting bad. I think I legit said like, I don't even want to like watch until they get rid of Blake Griffin. Like that was just where I was at with it.
Yeah,
So
no, I mean it got pretty bad. I mean, I mean, just case point, I lived right around the corner from the Palace for a hot minute, and you can at any point in time there was half the stadium was empty. You can go get tickets for $7, and I mean, it was like it was a wild couple of years there. I mean, they've been bad at the LCA for a little bit too, but I do think in general, we're definitely on an upward swing, and anybody can see the momentum that we have, and that and like you guys just said, the roster transformation in the last few years, us, getting just getting punched in the face with the Blake Griffin contract and taking it, and not spreading that out like we would have with like the Josh Smith contract over 10 years and just leave it hanging over our head forever. We just went and got rid of it as quickly as possible. We traded Jeremy Grant. I remember at the time, we were like, what the hell is happening? But the next day at the draft, it all came full circle. We seen the full big picture plan, and locked in Duran. So I just think he's making, just very timely moves and playing chess when a lot of other GMs are only playing checkers, and just really developing other trade pieces as far as like, we don't really have no need for Alec Burks, but that's somebody like you said a minute ago. He's kind of a journeyman. He's not a bad roster piece. We'll be to get something for him whenever we no longer need his services, and he'll be a good player for us. Things along that nature. Probably somebody, I don't know what we're going to do with Kemba Walker, but that's another similar thing where that's yeah, where I just think where he's getting back pieces that are interesting that you can also flip in return down the line. So I just think ultimately he's really kind of orchestrating this whole comeback very well, and it's kind of amazing to see us being a driver's seat for once, at least in the last 10-12 years.
Yeah, I just Googled Kemba Walker and it's like, why is he still a Detroit Piston? That was the first thing that came up. I know that's their plans, but they might be trying to use him as leverage for another trade or something. Who knows, man? Weaver be doing his thing. He really be doing his thing. I just wanted to tell you about this. Go ahead, Niko. Go ahead.
Oh no, my bad. I was just gonna say I thought he was bought out too. I thought Kemba was already gone.
I thought that was like at the draft night, like, man, like we appreciate you. Give him his little Instagram post. Thank you, Kemba. Keep on rolling.
But yeah, and just using that cap to our advantage as well.
Yep.
When a lot of GMs maybe would go and sign somebody dumb, we would go out and sign Jalen Brunson for or whatever, and it's in return we're using that to soak up other people's bad contracts, kind of use it to our advantage, really, and also a bunch of expiring contracts, like I've said, so we'll be able to get rid of them as well. It really is just kind of like I don't know many other GMs that have done it this way or to this magnitude. I'm not necessarily don't have my pulse on a lot of other people's teams, but you don't see teams get built this way, typically speaking.
it's just been so perfect. It's gotta work. Like I'm gonna be sad if they don't go to at least second round of playoffs like 3 years from now. Like I'm just thinking about we fell to fifth in the lottery. I was mad we wasn't gonna get one of the top three guys. The Knicks basically sacrificed their entire future. Low Jalen Brunson. Because I was on the Jalen Brunson train, but I also knew like I was, but I'm also like he was only really doing that because Tim Hardaway was hurt, and he's like 6'2", 6'1". So like he was doing his thing, but I just didn't know if that was work next to Cade. But then the Knicks get him, we get Ivy. Like it just, I feel like the dominoes are just falling like perfectly, and it's just kept, it's just been going boom, 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 boom. I mean, to be able to like get a player like Duran 13th overall. I mean, we was in some a lot of mock drafts. I mean, I was him top 5 earlier in the year. I mean, if Memphis had a better year, wasn't struggling as much as they were to start the year off, he might have went top 5. So I just think his ceiling is that high. I'm glad we kind of dodged that little bullet with Ayton. Niko, you'll have to ask Cam and John how I feel about DeAndre Ayton. But I feel like we got somebody Ayton type player 3 or 4 years younger that's not addicted to video games.
Yeah, I would say I am kind of I was kind of on the Ayton train just because of what he's able to do right now. Like Duran, I'm super excited to have him, but I'm trying to adjust my expectations for this is more of a future move down the line 3, 4, 5 years down. Where is Duran at? So Aiden would have been able to come in and give you 20 right away. That's why I was kind of on the train a little bit, but I'm definitely with the Duran. You know what I'm saying? That move was crazy.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think, we might kind of sacrifice a few wins here and there just being so young. But I'm all for just the development. We got guys that want to be here. That they can contribute right away, gonna have to contribute right away. For us to, I just want us to be able to at least get 38 to 40 wins. I'm kind of going into, what else I want, what we want to talk about today. Win totals. I already told people, Niko, I think I told you too already. If we make the playoffs, I'm cutting my beard. And I ain't cut my beard off since
live on the podcast.
I'm not lying.
Live on the pod. Yeah, you got to do that.
I'm not lying. I'll tweet it out after we get off of here, and I'll pin it. I'll pin it to the top of my profile. So if it happens, everybody gonna be able to see it. But that'd be the first time I shaved my beard since like Easter of like 2018. So it's worth it. If they make it, I'll do it no problem. But
I'd be lit.
That said,
name you babyface at LCA.
Right. I do look like Miss Potato Head, but anyways. Win total.
I gotta keep my beard. I've been trying for too long.
Hey, this is legit like a good year and a half almost. So, but it'd be good to see them back in the mix. But what you think as far as win totals? I'm trying to be realistic with myself. Might only be like 35. Maybe that's like kind of like the numbers. I'm like, okay, like that we could be flirting with the play-in at 35 wins, 37 wins, maybe. The East is pretty tough.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you like to see as far as like from a progress standpoint? Mind you, we had the second worst record in the league last year, so it's only up from here.
Yeah, I think we had 23 wins last year, so definitely need to see some improvement. Want to get out of the 20s. I think floor would be 30 wins. Ceiling would be anywhere from 38 to 42.
Yep.
That's me trying to be real. Give real expectations. Gonna be a lot of growing pains, a lot of back-to-back losses. Nights where the rookies just don't know how to finagle that yet. But I think if everything clicked right, you could get a high 30 win total.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I am. I would kind of. I just looked. Well, first of all, I just looked, and last year you needed 43 wins to get in to play in.
East is tough. East is tough.
So
I was about to say I don't even think it's play in and playoff for me. I just think just seeing real results.
Yeah. So I would want to put that probably. I would definitely in the upper 30s. I'm gonna shoot at like 37. Like, I think that's like a sweet spot number for me. That's like bordering where if you're going to hit that total, you'll probably be. We're thinking we can make the playoffs come. When it's like early April. We'll still be pretty excited thinking if we get hot or something. So that's just where I want where the team is still in it and the fan base is in it, and we have some good basketball to watch. We're competitive. We're beating teams that we ain't got no business beating from time to time. We're maybe losing some teams we ain't got no business losing to from time to time because we're young. But mid a little, a month after All-Star break, we still think we can make the playoffs if we're on pace for that 37-ish win. So that's kind of where I would want to be, where I'm just excited about the team. And then like you said, it's a next logical step where it's a good win chunk of like what would that be, like 14 more wins year over year. And that's something to really hang your hat on. Then next year, hopefully you're at 44 or something, then you're in the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, I'll say too, man. I mean, were they at 500 record after the All Star break?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking at 500, record with that team. I feel like this team got a little shot in the arm, got a little bit more talent, some more shooting. If we just kind of find a way to keep that same energy, and we know how it works with the NBA. Catch a couple teams, 1-2 seeds, trying to rest players and just trying to find that way, to beat some teams we ain't got no business beating, sneaking up on teams. I thought it was going to be a little cakewalk when they stepped in the LC on the Tuesday night. That's just not the case no more. It seems doable, but I'm right there aligned with y'all. Like, I don't. It's exciting. Like, I definitely think they could do something, but the expectations is still, 30. If they hit 30 to 35, 30 to 37 wins, that'd be awesome. They touch 40, I'd be ecstatic. We just need like KD and Kyrie to get traded to the West. Need a little more chaos in the East, just to kind of help out with the competition a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there are some, and this is a whole nother podcast, but just as I'm thinking over, I mean, there are some question marks about the East. I mean, what the Knicks gonna look like? They're at 37 wins. What what are the Hornets gonna look like? So a couple teams like that in front of you, makes you wonder a little bit. So, it is possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. And one little nugget I just want to throw in there before we start to kind of wrap things up: Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
We might be waiting, bro. We might be that spot where people they come revive their career. New York had him sitting on the bench. My man was like shooting like 35, 36% from three. He's been in the league like 3-4 years. I mean, you can't beat that. So I just think we might have us a more athletic version of Duncan Robinson on our hands. We got him for legit. Like, I mean, this is like one of them. Like, this is like do or die for him. 2-year, like 5-6 million. So that's somebody just to keep an eye out on. I think they will kind of have him 9th, 10th man coming in, just letting that thing go, be open. So that's another weapon for ball too.
My bad.
Good.
I did actually almost think to mention Kevin Knox when we were talking about prove it guys, just because he's on the ultimate prove it deal. You know what I'm saying? It's it's either you have a good year or you don't. But
yeah,
like I said, I'm still trying to see what the rotation is going to be like for him, if he's going to get any minutes to prove himself or this and that. So
yeah,
hopefully he does.
Yeah, I forgot about him too. He just jumped in my mind, so I thought it was necessary to just share because I do feel like I watched some of his highlights, and he had a couple games with New York, 27 and 15, scored like 20 something in one half. So he definitely got that. Can get hot. I think that's something we can definitely use. Can't have enough shooting in the league. So yeah. That being said, man, Niko wanted to. I don't know if anybody had anything else. If not, Nico's going to give you the floor to kind of talk about the music a little bit and how that's going. Might have a couple questions for you here and there, but I'll give you the floor, man.
Yeah, man. So what do you want me to start with? I guess how I started doing it, or
is this how you started doing it? Where your music can be found at, all the above. Yeah. Anything you feel like you wanna share, man.
Yeah, well, so I started like writing when I was kind of young, but I didn't start making actual music and writing songs till about 17 when my dad got sick. So You know what I'm saying? It was just my way to, kind of put, my thoughts and, my feelings into a certain direction instead of, going to, a therapist or anything like that. But yeah, like that blew, blossom into a whole, okay, I'm actually good at this. I can actually make music. But they can just go check it out for themselves. Anywhere, Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all that Kavan. K apostrophe AVAN. That's where you can find all my music at.
Okay. Got anything on the way yet? Are you still got an album coming or anything like that, man?
I'm always just slowly working.
Gotta say if you don't want to, but
Yeah,
I just
they want y'all want the exclusive, huh? I got you. No, I'm just, always working. No big announcements to come with, but I did drop a summer single earlier this summer. Y'all, like I said, you can go get that at my, Apple Music or Spotify, all that kind of stuff.
okay. Good stuff, man. So I'm a fan. Can't put me
Appreciate
on.
you.
So yeah, man.
Sweet.
Glad it's all going well for you. Thank you for so much for coming on and having a conversation with us, man. As we get a little closer, the NBA season, have you jump on and join us. Obviously, football is around the corner. I don't know much are in football either, but we're gonna start to kind of shift gears here. Talk about Michigan football. Talk about the Lions. They got Hard Knocks coming up, so yeah. I'll shoot you a text, see if you're interested in come back on, and love to have you back on if you want to come back on, man. So we appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Like I said, appreciate you boys having me on. Eli, Grant. Love the work y'all doing. Like I said, I'm on y'all YouTube and all that. So tapped in. Definitely love what y'all doing. Definitely, love where Detroit sports are going.
Yeah,
Just appreciative for having me on.
absolutely, man.
Thank you, sir.
And then, till next time.
We'll be back on.